Good morning. Today is November 20th, 2024, and it is about 9 a.m. in the morning. I see this date and I also record it on the YouTube tagline when I upload the videos. My hope is that in the years to come, I continue doing these videos so someday I look back to this and see how life evolved. As you all know, I kind of do this sort of like journaling or diary type of thing. And because sometimes we ourselves forget that we are strong, we are resilient, and at some point what seemed like impossible, and we go through it, and then we forget that we are capable of doing that. And I have been through many of those situations in life, and I'm pretty sure you all have been too, because we all go through different kind of challenges in life, and from outside we never know what people are going through, but everybody has some sort of battle that they're dealing with, either if it's physical, emotional, financial, or relationship related, or whatever that may be. Life is like that. We are here to learn and grow, but growth does not happen in when things are all going okay. Because that's the comfort zone. Comfort zone keeps us comfortable, and when we get out of comfort zone, that's when we learn, that's when we grow. The way our mindset works, generally, we don't we try to stay in the comfort zone. We make the effort to come out of the comfort zone. I'll give you an example, and it has happened to me, where you are in a job and you think that something is not really resonating with you there, and you feel like you're going to change the job, but then you have one bad day and you feel like, oh, I should look for a new job, and then the day after is somewhat okay, and you feel like, oh, it's okay, and then in some way you can call it procrastination. However, it is part of that staying in that comfort zone. And this is an example of being in a comfort zone at work. It happens in other areas of our life too. We like the familiarity, either it is good or bad. They would say that research and things like that familiar pain is something that people will choose over unfamiliar gain. Meaning, with the familiar pain, you can predict it. And we as human beings, we like predictable things. And it is with everybody. We like predictable things. Of course, it's good when it's good, but even if it's bad, we know how to manage that familiar pain. But with that, what happens is that, number one, we don't grow. Number two, we don't live our life fully. So to live our life fully and to grow, no matter how painful it is, we have to let go of that familiar pain. And there are many ways to do that. One is surrounding yourself with people who might be going through similar pain, because then like how they would say, as a collective, there is power in the numbers. So when instead of you doing it by yourself, when you are 5 people doing it together, imagine, right? Like they had this example, like if you have one stick, you can easily break it. And imagine these are the sticks. I have like only 3 pens here. Now imagine there are 5, actually 4. So I just needed one more. Anyway, so the point is that when it is this thick, imagine if they're stick, you won't be able to break it because they're together. So I'm sorry about the sound. So that's the point, that for us to come out of that comfort zone, we need to surround ourselves with people with similar mindset, people who are looking to learn and grow as we are trying to learn and grow from this experience. And some of it comes with the road that we have traveled, meaning the road that I have traveled, it is unique to only me and my friends, and I'm grateful that I have this handful of friends who are in a similar journey as mine, and more or less we are all in our midlife. This is what I talk about more in this channel. And anybody is welcome to share your thought, even if you are, I don't know, 20 years old. But I think I share the things more which may resonate with people who are, I don't know, maybe if you're in mid to late 30s to, I don't know, 70 years old. Because generally speaking, again, it's generally speaking, not everybody, because different people think differently. Life seems to give us a lot of different kind of emotions after we cross 40, and there is that there are research around that too. You'd see in TED Talk or different YouTube videos where psychologists have researched that happens. And the point is, yes, that happens, but what do we do about that? There's 2 ways to go about it. One, we can take it as a new beginning, as a second chance in life to do the things that we wanted to do but we couldn't do for whatever reason. Either we didn't have the career we couldn't have pursued, or we pursued the career but that we couldn't travel, or other exciting things that we always wanted to do but we couldn't. But now we can take it as an opportunity to live the best life that we always wanted but we couldn't. So you can take it as like that, or you could just stay in that comfort zone, that familiar pain, the familiar challenges, and to live life in a conveyor belt. That's what Bob Proctor is the term, the conveyor belt, and life will be over. It's not that you necessarily have to come out of the environment that you are in. It is more about how to, if you're familiar with Amazon's reInvent, I worked for Amazon for a little bit, AWS, but without that also I'm familiar with the term because I work in technology field, I'm in management. The reInvent, right? So it's almost like reinventing our life at this stage. Your work, your home, and faith, all of that is surrounding yourself. And if you're in a midlife, And I have heard from people in their life that more or less all of these are going okay, but they are still looking for something that they're not finding happiness. And that is the time to reinvent. One is, of course, finding that surrounding people that that can help you as you help them too. Also going deep in faith, that also helps for me. Both of these two helped. Like, I go to the church and I have some really, really absolutely nice people in the community, the church community. They have been such a good blessing for me. I am forever grateful for them. And for me, that was really something that I feel so blessed about, especially when my family is so far in India and I can't really see them or talk to them often. The time difference is huge. It's like day and night. Right now here it's close to 9:30 and there it's like 8 p.m. 9:30 in the morning here and it's like 8 p.m. My mom she goes to bed early because she's older. So sometimes when I talk to her, I have to really plan for it because of the timing. Because sometimes I want to talk to her, but then it's too late. I know that she'll be sleeping. So things like that. So for me, that community support has been really, really amazing. So yeah, there are different ways going deep in your faith or going. The whole point is that whatever you do, something that is positive, something that is constructive, and where other people show that you have good in yourself, because we often remember to point the good in others, but we forget to point the good in ourselves. And when we are swimming against current, it's hard to see that we still have a lot of goodness, kindness, and other capabilities in us where we can make a difference, we can do good, we can be our own best friend, but we forget to do that, right? So yeah, it's important that we assess life with from that familiar pain, how can we get to that unfamiliar gain in some way, right? Because we are afraid of the unfamiliar, we are afraid of the unknown, but unknown also brings with it some new type of good that we haven't seen before. If we were to think in our life, all biggest growth and learning that happened only when we were going through intense challenges in life. So when we are going through intense challenges and pain in life, we just have to remember that there is always sun comes out, that after a dark night, right? And also there are sayings that carbon, I think carbon, when it goes through under intense pressure, it becomes a diamond. There are so many ways they say it, that to get to really something extraordinary, you have to go through the pain, you have to go through the challenging situations, because without that, life becomes stale. right? Life becomes stale, life becomes, I don't know, boring. But a lot ultimately goes with is what brings you peace. For some, um, boring is good, and that's the familiarity that may give you most peace, and it's okay, and some of it comes with our personality, how we grew up, and what all happened in our life until now. Because when I'm 40 something, I lived almost half of my life. Even if I live close to 100, then uh, it's it's all about how we learn the things from the first half of our life. Um, and it's not impossible, but it is hard to negate all the emotional trigger or things that happened in the past, as much as we can say, like, okay, let's erase everything. And last week I did the training, Tony Robbins, it's called UPW, Unleash the Power Within. And he talks about like a lot of limiting belief that got created in the past, where people say, if you're not good enough, talk about something or whatnot. And we can keep working on it to break that limiting belief. And it may not be overnight. Sometimes you may feel like, okay, all of these are wrong, what they said, and then you get to that state. But sometimes, depending on situations, you might again fall back to the valley, and from there, the Tony Robbins calls it a recipe. I kind of started calling it a success formula. I think for each of us, the success formula is different. So based on what works, we just got to keep doing that to pull ourselves up from that valley state to peak state. And more we can do that ourselves is better, instead of depending on others. It's good to have a circle of people. It's good to have great community support. But, at the same time, when you need the most help, the folks in the community may not be available, may be busy with their own challenges. And that is why it's important to create our own success formula, because we ourselves know us the best, right? If anybody who knows the most about our path is we ourselves, and God, if you believe in God. So where we can get the most strength in those challenging situations is by praying to God, or knowing how we dealt with it before. And sometimes the challenges might be this big, and sometimes the challenges might be this big. But what worked for this, something similar may work for this, because we know how our mind works. So as I navigate my life, these are something that I'm figuring out. These are something that I'm applying, and I see the fruit in that how I am spending less time in the valleys, and I'm spending more time in the peak, or at least working towards the peak instead of staying in the valley, because life is so short. More time we stay down, sad, afraid, fearful, and all of that, nobody is losing time. It's us, we ourselves. So if somebody said something that made us sad or feel hurt, or whatever that may be, they have said this and they moved on. And honestly speaking, it doesn't really matter if they moved on or not. But if we are dwelling on that, who is losing time? We are. So it's important to learn to live our life with what really matters to us, what we want, rather than what we don't want. And that's what I'm sorry. Rhonda Barnes, who made that movie, The Secret, back in 2006. Wow, it's almost 18 years, 2006. It's on Netflix. It's also on YouTube, I think. The Secret. It's before that also the law of attraction, manifestation, all of those existed. Of course, because these are the rules that is there from centuries. But I think in 2006, the way it was put together, that kind of gained some blockbuster fame, and it created some sort of sensation throughout the world. Now everybody understands, more or less everybody understands what law of attraction is, how manifestation works. Now some people use it, some don't, and some are skeptical, but that's when it became more popular. So there also she talks about focus on what you want rather than what you don't want. And all the self-help industry, everybody would talk about it the same. And if you watch that movie, there's people like Bob Proctor, Jack Canfield, who wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul, and there's many other popular people, all have the same message, focus on what you want. So it's all about the focus. And I talk about the subconscious and the conscious, 90 to 95% to 5%, right? So it's hard to control this part with this, but one way to do it is you create habit and all that. A positive habit that changes some part of this and keep moving towards this. Then there's something called auto-suggestion, meaning when your mind is more in the positive zone, subconscious is very powerful. So if we can use it in our advantage, this is super helpful, because then it gives us suggestion to make our life better. And imagine if you could do that on autopilot, right? So this is what is autopilot is. So we are all creatures of habit, which you probably have heard, because that's a very common saying, creatures of habit. We are all creatures of habit. So when we force ourselves, literally we have to force ourselves to create good habit. Example is going to the gym, or reading 2 pages a day, or how many ever pages a day of some books that you can learn from, or anything that is productive. If we keep doing it every day, there's a little bit of improvement, and that consistency, that creates a habit, good habit, and that changes the subconscious. And I experienced it myself, like by making these videos, I'm remembering to do the live in the present moment so much. Like this morning I was practicing multiple times. I was practicing the being in the present moment. I would use my senses, and also when I woke up, I normally play some prayer videos from YouTube, and I just listen to it. I stay in bed for a little bit, and then I listen to them. And as I was doing that, I remembered to do my affirmation in my mind, to do the gratitude in my mind. Not only that, I also did the intention setting and visualization a little bit. Usually those things I do on the camera, but as I'm doing more and more, it is becoming a habit. So that's the thing, like initially we have to force ourselves to do it, but then it becomes an auto-suggestion. The subconscious tells you, hey, you got to do that because you normally do it. A part of our subconscious is what works as a reminder, and then it becomes a little bit easier than when our conscious mind tries to do that. Because, and that's the part I think when I'm realizing as I'm talking is that which happens a lot when I start talking about it. I realize, because when you try to do all that with that 5%, the conscious mind, it becomes exhausting after some time, right? Because you feel like, okay, you have to live mindfully, you have to remember to do this, you have to remember to do that. And that is such a small part of our mind, and it becomes hard. At some point, it gets exhausting. I have heard friends saying that, you know, I did yoga for 1 hour every day, and my life was so much more happy and all that. But then 1 hour is a lot, and then they gave up that practice, not fully, but here and there they did. My thought process was, don't focus on 1 hour, even do like 5 minutes a day, but try to, be more consistent, because consistency is more important than how long you do it for. Because if it is too hard, which is our conscious mind is telling, do this, but at some point we give up. But the habit formation what will keep it going. I remember that quote that I used in my last Toastmaster speech about habit. I think it's Jim Rohn who said that motivation is what will get you started, and habit is what will get it going. He said it a little differently, but the thing is, when you're motivated, one day you're like, okay, I'm going to conquer the world, I'm going to do this. So you will start there. But what will get you going is the habit. So we have to figure out a way to make consistent progress. Even if it's not a progress, it's like sometimes it may feel like we are walking 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But as long as we are not going 10 steps back, we are going to make a progress. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, again 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and someday you might make 4 steps ahead. As long as we are going in the right direction, slow progress is also better than no progress, right? So that's what is important, that consistency is the absolute key. You just have to keep going until it becomes a habit. So I myself is doing that, those things in few areas of my life. I have set some goals, and today I saw an interesting post on LinkedIn, a TED Talk that talked about, I think, an NFL player. He was giving that speech, and he was talking about how goal setting can be, his thought was opposing how goal setting can be challenging sometimes, because then it kind of, you may think that, once you reach a goal, it's great, but if you don't reach a goal, you might feel like a failure. But I kind of think a little differently. One person commented, and that comment resonated with me actually than the actual the video clip that they had. The person said that if you see the goal only as a destination, then you may feel sad if you can't reach that goal. And I thought that was a good perspective, because you try to reach towards the goal, and the way I look at it is, once you reach the goal, you feel absolutely like very good, and you get your confidence. Then again, you can push the goal further. I remember, I don't know, 5 years ago, whenever Matthew McConaughey, he had a really good speech. I think it was during Oscars, where he talks about he always looks ahead 10 years from where he is, and he kind of works towards that version of himself, because you can always move that goal towards your betterment, right? To me, that's a guidepost that you can look at it as a destination, you can look at it as something, but I feel like without that, our life could just wander around, right? So my perspective is that goal setting is definitely good, as long as you are not so tied to it that, okay, if I meet that within the time frame I have set, it's great, but if not, my life will be over. That shouldn't be the case. You do not want to tie yourself like that, because life is to enjoy the journey. And it's okay sometimes if we fall off track for a little bit, as long as we come back, because when we set those goals, we know ourselves the best. We know how we how this is something that will keep bringing us back to that path that we want to walk, right? Again, goes back to what we want versus what we don't want. Because if we don't have that goal, I don't know, you can think of it like a red dot or something that you're working towards. And if you don't have that vision, we are not marching towards that. We will be wandering around with what we don't want, because especially when our mind is so much focused on that, our autopilot takes us to the things we don't want. So from that perspective, I think goal setting is good. And in my case, I set the half a marathon by next year. Who knows, maybe I'll get there, and then my goal would be like full marathon, right? The following year, I don't know. But that's just a metaphor. There could be different kind of goals, and we can always move the goalpost to demand better for ourselves in a way that the things that makes us happy and people around us feel the happiness, as long as we don't hurt others in the process. I think it is all good. But anyway, I just wanted to share that perspective that I saw, and I'd love to hear some of your perspective and how you deal with life challenges. Some of you have mentioned that going to the gym is also like something that helps you, and if there are other ways that you do, let me know in the comments, because it's not only me, you might be inspiring other people in the process, because you never know. So like today I was saying, right, I saw this TED Talk clip on LinkedIn about goal setting. It kind of half resonated with me, and then when I saw one of the comments that the person talked about, that is what resonated with me the most. And then and now I'm talking about it, and that person doesn't even know that I'm talking about it, and that resonated with me. So in this world, our humanity, the 8 billion people, how we can help each other in so many ways that sometimes we don't even know. So anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and then I'll be back tomorrow morning once again. Take care. Bye.